You're listening to the Decor8 podcast with Patrick Ali and Chad Poole.
There it is. Hey, dude.
Hey, what's up,
man?
How you doing?
I feel refreshed today.
Good.
I got some sleep, so.
Finally, huh?
Yeah, we just got off the road. We got to travel a little bit.
Yep.
Just for one day, but it felt really, really good.
Couple turnpikes.
Couple turnpikes. Yeah, a couple turnpikes later. It felt really good to actually get on the road again. You know what I mean? We've been talking about this on a couple other podcasts, and we'll probably end up talking about it at some point today, but just with all this COVID stuff going on, like to actually be able to travel felt refreshing.
Yeah.
Like mentally, it just kind of keeps you sane. It keeps you, you know.
Well, I mean, there was guidelines in place, but
yeah.
I get what you mean.
Well, and it also, too, going to Morgantown, West Virginia, is definitely a lot slower than here in Michigan. You know, just not necessarily like what's going on. They still have the same protocols and guidelines, but it's just naturally a slower place to be, and you can kind of relax a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought it was a lot. Because we picked up a couple printers, 6-hour drive.
Yeah, two 300-pound printers.
Wake up.
Yep.
Bam, hit the road.
Which, by the way, you snore in your sleep, man.
Oh, I know. That's why I usually get my own room.
Okay, well, you didn't tell me that.
Well,
you didn't clarify.
Company dime, man. Actually, there's a reason I didn't do that. Is because I'll probably room again with you or somebody else.
Yeah.
And I'll hit it hard again.
Yeah.
I'll snore really bad. And then eventually somebody's going to go to y'all and be like, dude, I cannot room with that guy.
That's a good play.
And that's how I got my own room.
That's a good play.
So I actually don't snore. It's actually a sound machine.
That's it?
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you one quick story here, and I told you this when we left, is that I woke up. I'm an early riser, so I was up at like probably 5:30 in the morning. Chad woke up at like, I don't know, 6:45. We were on the road by like 7:15 or so. But I hear him snoring a little bit, and I went to the bathroom, and I come back, and he's in the same position, but he's not snoring anymore. And I go,
that's the apnea.
I might. That's either the apnea, or I might have just lost him. I don't know what happened. So
wife thinks that all the time.
Yeah. So, but it was good, man. It was a good thing to get on the road, and we had a great interview while we were down there with Caitlin over at Happy Crafters. That episode came out last week. I'm just excited. I'm excited. It gives me a little bit of hope that we're going to be, hopefully traveling again soon.
Yeah. Hope for normal.
In some form.
And actually, it's funny that you said that because normalcy, I ran into your aunt this morning.
Oh, yeah.
And she showed me something. You and Amanda went over there last night?
Yes, we did.
Oh, okay.
What did she show you?
Did she
show you the picture?
Yeah, she said you were acting kind of funny, and she had made some shirts for a coworker.
I was all hopped up on glue, so
she made a mistake, and it was supposed to be a woman's small, and I think it was a woman's extra small. And you decided to squeeze in there.
Well, I've been working. Listen, you found out.
The fasting's working.
Listen, you found out on the road. I've been intermittent fasting. Been working out again.
Which, speaking of losing people, I was worried like halfway through. I'm like, if this guy's blood sugar just drops, he's driving.
Yeah, no, it's funny too because normally I cut it off at 3, so I do a 20-hour fast with a 4-hour eating window. I usually stop at 3 to 7 is when I can eat. By the time we got done, I think we got to B-dubs at like 6:45, and I'm already like bogged down. I'm like falling asleep walking over there, and then we finally got food. The next day, I didn't eat again until probably around the same time. So I'm like, okay, I gotta get food, and I'm like trying to slowly get it into my mouth. But no, it worked, and I'm fine, and I feel good. But yeah, that shirt, maybe we'll throw a picture up.
I think we need to.
It turned out really good, and it showed off my muscles ever so nice. It actually only went up to about mid-chest.
Looked like a halter top.
Yeah, it did. So, all right, nobody will see that. But anyways, let's get into the episode. There's a lot of good content, and as we talked about it last week when we threw out the bonus episode, we probably have, in my opinion, okay, and I'm not going to say this to make his head big, but in my opinion, one of the most important people that I've gotten to know, like being new to Siser, because he's been able to kind of pave the way, whether in the social media platform, for anybody that's here, but also especially for us, and the reason why we actually have the ability to get an audience that's already there, that's already engaged in our stuff. So Joe Piazza, Joe Pizza. Everybody gets everything wrong, but Joey Piazza, everybody. What's going on?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes, I get the pizza all the time my entire life, but that's okay because who doesn't like pizza?
Right.
So,
everybody likes pizza.
But yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
No
I've been
problem.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, and for the one person too in this company that's like harps on the pronunciation of our name
I think
so
it's
much.
pronunciation, by the way. I don't think it's pronunciation.
Well, listen, I didn't say I was that intelligent, but for the one person that Carol Draw, for the one person that harps on that so much, for somebody to get your name wrong, that's just a sin.
But what do you mean, Siser?
You know, the Siser, the Siser, Sister. It's like you can almost tell like what origin somebody's in, or like what part of the world they're in, depending on. They say Siser, they're probably down in the south somewhere.
And it doesn't even matter if you say it's Caesar, it's still Siser.
It's still Siser. They'll have a conversation with you at a trade show, and you'll say, Caesar products, and they say, I love Siser. It's great.
Well, I've known the Siser thing for a long time, but what I'm trying to get used to and trying to adapt to is the email of this. You know, your email address, and you say, I'm just poolc@Siser.com, Siser90.com.
Yeah.
Okay, that's poolc@CEASR. I'm like,
no.
Siser.
SISER.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of a quick backstory. Do you guys know?
I'd love
to
to
know
know.
where the Caesar
I
came
know partially, but you can definitely tell it on this platform for
it's
sure.
like for those that don't know.
Yeah. Pull that mic just a little bit closer.
Okay.
You're good. Perfect.
For those that don't know.
There it is.
So Siser is, and I may botch the name, so we're obviously an Italian company, but it's kind of the OG Brangelina before that was a thing.
Nice.
So Siser started in early 1970s in Italy, but the SI is a name,
a separate
and
name,
then SER is another name. So I believe, I'm going to butcher it, but it's Cecilia, I believe, for the SI, and then it's Sergio for the SER.
What?
So it's Caesar is two names put together.
Oh.
I did not know that.
Industry secret there, folks.
I want to be sure on the two names, so I apologize for that, but I believe it's something like that. It's either...
But two names blended together.
Sylvia or... I think I got the SI wrong, but the SER is Sergio.
Okay.
So it's two names.
Nice.
So.
My wife and I are called Chitney.
Oh, yeah.
Chad and Brittany.
Chitney.
Yeah, we tried to do one of those things that it didn't work out really well.
Yeah, so. Pamanda for me.
Pamanda?
Pamanda,
okay.
Yeah. Pamanda,
okay.
That's it. Actually, it's funny, like all of my kids basically have, they're either A's or L's or K, and then Amanda, but they all have like our middle names, so like everybody now gets it confused. They just call everybody David. Like I get David all the time. Like,
there you go.
People be like, "Oh, what's your full name?" Especially because for me, I'm Middle Eastern, so like a lot of people when I tell them my middle name Dawood, it means David. So then they just end up calling me David. And I'm like, okay, that works, whatever.
Whenever I got called by my middle name, I was in trouble.
Really,
yeah.
If you get that middle name,
you're just Chad. You're not Chadwick.
No.
Okay. So I got Joseph. When you got Joseph and middle name,
you're in the blank.
Yeah.
But and the middle name. Yeah. So if it's just the middle name, sometimes I can squeak around this one. But if it's Chad Robert,
there you go.
See, I never got the first name, and I think it's because of blunt force trauma blacked me out before anything happened. By the way, my parents did not abuse me, I promise you. But no, this is really cool, man. I really appreciate you doing this, and like I said last week, and I say it again, I appreciate everything that you've helped to establish and build here at Siser, because it has given us the opportunity to create this, and it's given me the opportunity, to do some of the crafting with Patrick's and stuff like that. And I do credit a lot of that to you because you built this incredible platform. So I want to get into some of that later in the episode, but what I want to start out with is just a background on you, how you got started kind of in the industry. Was this even something that you had, in the as a plan or in the works early on, and where that's kind of taken you to this point?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, and I got to say it's been ultra refreshing to have a different side to add to what we've offered at Siser in regards of education, entertainment. I mean, you guys have done a great job.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of people have seen that.
Yeah.
Appreciate all that. I've been in the textile decoration industry for coming on 14 years now, which is crazy. Not really something I ever thought I would end up in. This was like fresh out of high school, got right into a job, and it was a full-time job. and it kind of got my feet wet in this industry.
Oh, so this industry basically is like your first big boy job.
It was my college.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no
it
way.
was. I was started off as a mail guy.
Yeah.
And literally, like, just
awesome,
worked
though.
my way on up. Was
Yeah.
just like, I'm gonna learn as much as I can while I'm here.
Yeah.
And it was just any chance I had, I was like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll learn that. Like,
Right.
and it was just over time, just gaining as much knowledge about all sorts of where I was. It was on a broader spectrum of things in this world.
Yeah.
And I just knew, because I'm naturally, like, I'm a creative guy. I
Yeah.
love music and movies. Like,
Yeah.
that's my thing. So this was a way to kind of bring in some creativity and be like, music,
Yeah.
you need shirts. What, how
Yeah.
can I incorporate that? And
Everybody
I was
needs merch, man.
Absolutely, right? So I just was like, I'm going to learn as much as I can. I'm going to kind of become more of an asset as the best way I can.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of where it went. And then, then I moved over to Siser about 6.5 years ago and got the job here. But it was like a whole nother world.
Yeah.
Even though I had the knowledge of a lot of what's going on in this industry, it was like coming here and learning about like crafting markets and small cutters and
Yeah.
like small game. No offense to that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like it was compared to what I was working with
Right.
and what I was
In the large
using
format type
in
stuff.
large format
Yeah.
stuff. It was just a night and day difference. But it was a breath of fresh air because I came over here and was hired as well to do social media and make videos.
Oh, okay.
And so again, I kind of have a acting background
Yeah.
outside, so it was nice to bridge
Yeah.
the two together. And I love education,
Yeah.
so I kind of felt like it was a full circle thing where everything I learned while I was on the job, why not be able to give it back?
Now, when you started in the industry, did you have your band at that time? Because you had a band at one time.
I did.
So
I
were you
did.
doing a lot of the merch for your band too?
No, but I remember, well, to be fully honest, I mean, it was between 18 to 20. I was
Yeah.
in a band, and I thought I was going to make it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
There's still
kinda,
time, man.
I was living at that moment where
There's
I
still
was
time.
like, am I going to just leave? Am
Yeah.
I just going to take this opportunity and just take off?
Yeah.
I'm really glad I didn't.
Yeah.
But I wasn't as versed as I am now.
Yeah.
Like, so at that time, I didn't have the equipment.
Right.
I didn't actually have hands-on yet.
Right.
I was really new at
Real
the job.
entry level,
so
yeah.
very entry level.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I wasn't really doing merch for anybody at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Very interesting. So talk about your early experiences here at Siser. So you and I had talked before, and it was kind of like, yeah, you had the idea of the social media presence and the other things that you were doing with education. But from my understanding, you were just thrown right into this thing.
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Totally. I mean, to start here and coming from a job that kind of had productivity and pulling from a queue
Yeah.
and doing things that I was just like, you knew what you were doing every day.
There was
right?
measuring
There was
sticks, right?
exactly. So coming here, and I knew it was like, okay, you're gonna take over a social media, you're gonna start doing videos. But I'm like, kind of, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah.
Kinda like,
I know
it
exactly
was
what you're
just
talking
one of
about.
those
Yeah.
like, wait a minute.
Yeah, here's project 1, 2,
what-
3, 4.
And
Yeah.
it was just and shout out to Johan because he just gave me full creative control of like, I was like, I felt embarrassed because I was
Yeah.
like, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm used to having some guidelines or being told like, and he was just straight up like, just make it happen.
Do it right.
Just
Figure
you
it out.
have whatever you, because to go back on that, like when I got the job too, it was funny talking with him because he's a very traditional way with business at the time, right?
Yeah.
So I was in my mid 20s when I started here, and it was like social media was booming at the
Yeah.
time, anyways, and I was like, businesses need a social media. Like
Yeah,
this is
right.
how people of all ages
Yeah.
are going to learn about it.
Reach a
and
mass
he was just like,
audience.
I don't really believe in it,
Yeah.
but do
You
your
could try
thing.
that
Like
face-
Horrible
Facebook
impression,
or
but what is
that?
the social media?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just and then now it's like he's all about it,
Yeah.
So it's just funny to see where it went, and I guess I just took what my day-to-day usage of social media
Yeah.
was to be like, well, this is what I need to do in order to make it happen, and then the videos just kind of were part of it, but it was another thing where it was like, here are a bunch of new heat transfer vinyls that you've never used.
Right.
Make tutorial videos on them.
Yeah.
And I was like, and at the time, nobody was really doing videos.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't have any distributors that were really doing videos.
And Siser was, at that time, if it was 6 years, Siser was probably, what, 5 years old?
About that, like Siser North America.
Yeah. North America,
So again, so Siser's been around since the 70s in Italy, but the North America division started, I think, in like 2007.
Right, which most people understand. I mean, if Siser Italy has all of their own branding and content put out, I mean, North America, now you have to basically start almost fresh to rebuild that. You know what I mean? And take on that. Now, when you first started, you know, what did our social media platform look like? Did we even have one? Or
we kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be fair, we were a really, really small team.
Very small.
Yeah.
So before I joined, there was, I think, like 4 people.
Yeah.
And it was one person doing all of marketing.
Yeah.
And she tried to do the website stuff, and then
Yeah.
she tried to have social media and all that.
Let's take on a lot of projects.
Oh, absolutely. And so when I took over Facebook, I think we had maybe 400 likes on it, and then Instagram maybe had 23 followers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, so it's basically like a fresh start.
Yeah.
And again, this was before Facebook. Don't dock me, Zuckerberg. But this was before Facebook had the crazy business algorithms that were just like, now, you know, I mean, because when we used to do a video or post something up on social media, it was like instantly viral.
Right.
Like it was crazy.
Right.
And, you know, and then I think it was 2018 was when they started making it a little bit more of an arduous process for Facebook business posts to go through.
Yeah.
But it was, it's funny too, because one of our first milestones that we literally made a video on, excited about, was 800 likes on Facebook.
Nice.
We're over 62,000 likes now.
Yeah, I think you've done something right.
Yeah, you've done.
But how excited we were at 800
I mean,
likes.
yeah, I'd be happy
That
with
was huge.
Well, and there was remnants that Brett was actually did some of our social media, and if anybody knows Brett, he's not big in social media.
Yeah, so Brett, I remember, bless his heart too. Brett, he was so gung ho too, because again, I was fresh, so I'm like, I'm gonna everyone wants to, that's part of the Siser team. They're gonna train me, like, you know, and he felt like he was gonna train me on social media.
Yeah,
and I was like one of those like, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
You know? Because he was like trying to show me like, oh yeah, when you make a post, you go here.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
use this little pound button.
yeah,
It's called hashtag.
you know, and it's one of those bite your tongue like,
yeah. You're like, dude, you're still
Okay.
using T9 right now. Let's chill.
You gonna learn today, buddy.
So it was a good time though, but he noticed it, and he passed it on, and again, I was really apprehensive. I was in the beginning like, I'd write up a post and I'd go over and show him, be like, is this okay? Like, will I be okay to post this? And he didn't know any better. He was like, go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, so I was doing it, kind of just testing the waters, because I mean, it's night and day compared to where it is now.
Sure.
So it was just one thing that kind of caught on, and inevitably, which is just kind of gratifying in its own, it started a trend, and it started to build like more confidence for other distributors that we had at the time to be like, I can do that.
Right.
You know, so that was really cool to see.
Yeah. So I mean, you've been in the industry a bit longer than I have, but I agree with you. Even 6 years ago, even 5 years ago, there was not a lot of content out there as far as videos and social media. I'm not that guy. I'm in the corner with Brett, but
You guys kind of look alike too.
Yeah,
It's
it's funny. You know, talk about your introduction. So we've gotten to the videos. You're starting to see some major success there, which is super gratifying. But I remember seeing you on the road 5, 6 years ago. So you started going on the road pretty early too, representing Siser, correct?
Yeah, and that was another by accident sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, not by accident. I think it was just because, again, our team was so small. So the people we had on the road were, Johan was constantly on the road, Kathleen was constantly on the road, Brett was constantly on the road, and they were like the only ones.
Yeah.
Spread thin.
It was very spread thin.
They're true road warriors. For
Absolutely. So it was just, and I was just hired to do social media and graphic design and videos, and like I was working with Keith, and we were marketing, and that was it. And So Johan just kind of pitched it to me one time because he got caught up with 2 trade shows at the same time, and he double booked rather.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Would you be okay?" You know, it was the first show I remember. It was in Canada, and he was like, "You know, you and Brett will go, but you're gonna work with this distributor. He's gonna be with this distributor." And I had no idea, like, because I had never gone on a trade show. But I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll make it work," you know.
Yeah.
So I went up and, I mean, it was just one of those things that I think I just naturally was able to take on because I like being around people. I like talking with people. I like educating. I can, make small talk with anybody. And I had already done a couple YouTube videos, so I was confident with the products. I knew kind of the tricks and tips for them. So it was just kind of getting into it. Mm-hmm. And then I think what really started is when I got back and Johan went to work another show that happened up there like a month or 2 later for the same distributor I work for. And they were like, "Where's Joe?"
You know what's funny?
Really?
That's the show that Johan went the second time around. That's the first time I ever met Johan.
Oh, really?
Really?
It was up in Toronto, correct?
Yeah.
Oh. So they were like, "Hey, where's the handsome guy with the Siser shirt?"
Yeah.
Who the hell?
I didn't
who the hell
want
are
to say
you?
that. I'll let you say that. But that's kind of what they said.
That's funny. So what did Johan say? I got to get back on the road then.
Well, he was just like, "Well, how comfortable are you with traveling?" Like, again, it wasn't originally part of what I was signed up for.
Yeah.
But I mean, I again, like, my passions were music, which my biggest goal was to tour and see the world and experience stuff. So I was like, if this gives me a chance to be on the road, absolutely. Yeah. Like, what do I have to lose? And plus, for me, for the job, it helps a million times more to get firsthand from customers what they need from us in regards of education, tips, tricks, videos, social media, any way we can help. And for me, that was really refreshing because for a long time, it was Keith and I sitting around going, if we do this video, it sounds like it's good, but is it really helping everybody?
Where's the real
need?
feedback?
Yeah,
right?
like, is this going to go over well?
Yeah.
So it did. And then before I knew it, it just kind of became
your travel machine.
And there must have been a transition in there somewhere with just the business model, because when I came in, that was the first thing that was talked about. Now I've obviously been here less than a year now, almost a year, which is, I made it. And
there you go.
So I'm happy. But anyways, when I was talked about it, it was, let's talk to the customers at trade show, gather intel or gather data from everyone, and figure out what's gonna strategically benefit us, but also at the same time, what's going to benefit other people to understand what they're actually going through. And when I came in as an end user. My wife's craft business and my business, it was like, I was already working with the product, so I already knew where the flaws were or where I felt, could be beneficial. Mm-hmm. But I just saw, that there had to have been somewhere between that time and now that there's just this shift in the business model of, okay, well, now you get to a certain point in business where you start growing and you're trying to grow and put out a bunch of product, but then you have to step back and say, oh shit, well, we got to, figure out where the flaw is too to help correct that. Because you get it all the time. We all get it all the time doing support as well here. Is like, you get people that you've done it 150 times perfectly fine, and they have that one-off that you're like, well, I've never seen that happen before.
Right. It is a learning experience all the way around. And you do see it more and more. And I think, although trade shows, it's hard to talk about because I miss them so much.
Yeah, I know.
But in the same token, when they were happening as often as they were happening, it was kind of
it's taxing.
Well, it's taxing for sure, but it was really like with how I guess with social media and your outreach with social media, how much is it beneficial on a trade show floor versus like I could just do this on social media.
Yeah.
And and I can only say that for like other businesses, but for us at Siser, I mean, that's like our big thing is education. Mm-hmm. So it's like, even if we're out on the road and we're doing classes and we're partnering up with our distributors and we're doing cross marketing, like that's very important for us to still do. And I think there's always going to be customers that love that in-person experience, the hands-on, actually learning, because that's kind of how I am.
Yeah.
You know, so I get that, but it was just kind of one of those for as frequently as we were going to trade shows. It was like, maybe I guess we wished it.
Yeah.
You know, because now we're all like, haven't been on the road. Well, you guys went on a road trip, but like actually going out to a trade show since
it's different.
February.
Yeah, probably February.
I think, what was it? Kansas City we were in was like the last one I think we went to.
February? Yeah, end of February or early March. No, it was February because like a week after is when all this stuff went down. I remember.
Actually, I was in Atlantic City when I came back from that trip.
And then also we were getting ready for ISS Orlando.
And we had that.
And it was really funny too because like you and Brett were supposed to, or ISA, I'm sorry, ISA. You and Brett were supposed to either go the week before or the week after. No, week before, and then go to ISA, and then after that, that's when I was supposed to do that Baton Rouge trip.
Yeah.
And it was gonna be like literally just 3 weeks back to back. But I give you credit because for the show prior to that, I mean, you were in Atlantic City, and then you bounced around to a couple other places, right?
Well, I was on vacation, but I went from Palm Springs to St. Louis to Atlantic City, all within 14 days.
That's crazy.
And I came back, and it was like this was full blown.
Wow, man, that's crazy. What do you think? You know, I know obviously we all like the trade shows, and we all like open houses and being able to be a part of that. But what do you think the future kind of looks like for that stuff? Because you've done a lot of. You did your show with Mamaki, your virtual. You've done a couple of Zooms. Obviously, you're doing a lot with Michaels as well and doing their Zoom calls in there. I mean, where do you see this all going? Do you think it stays on virtual platforms, or do you think we ever get back to it?
I don't think it's gonna be back full capacity as it once was. I think that, like you just mentioned, a lot of these online classes and online presentations are going to be more frequent. And I think a lot of businesses are seeing that it's like just in this day and age of being able to work remotely and do things like from an online class platform. I think there's going to be more of that and less shows. Yeah. As sad as it sounds.
Yeah, it does sound sad.
I think they're going to stick with probably the main ones that we have throughout the year once things get back into it. But a lot of these other ones, unfortunately, I think are going to be a little bit more difficult to put together. And then I think it's also, obviously, the biggest thing is the attendance.
Yeah. Right.
Is how big is the attendance going to be? How confident are people going to want to be to be around?
And is that worth it for us to send a whole team of people, then pay for a booth, pay for space, and then you don't get not that you don't get any benefit out of it, because I think it's great to, which is your next question, talking about build relationships with other people, but also it gives you an opportunity to really, really, like I said earlier, gather that data and understand what they're doing. So I think it's just a weird yin and yang between the cost that's involved for us, but also what value can we really bring if we're not getting, we're getting a quarter of the people or even 50% of the people that normally would go.
Well, right now I think it's a gamble in general, right?
Yeah.
Because we can say, hey, ISS Long Beach, let's gear up. People are signing up. We don't know what that to your point, what that attendance is going to look like, what the hesitancy on sending employees is going to look like. What are the travel requirements now? What are the hotel?
Right.
It's all just a strange time, and I think it has kind of forced businesses and their hands to have to learn these social media platforms, to have to jump on Zoom calls. And I think that the more they become comfortable with these things, I agree with Joe that people are going to understand worthwhile long term. Is it really worth that investment? To your point, to host, I don't know, 50 different shows a year for different topics and applications.
One of the ways that I think that we built our platform so quickly, especially with you, Brett, the early adopters of that just hard-nosed travel schedule, is that, as a manufacturer, we're in our distributors or resellers booth, or we're in our partners' booths most of the time. That's why people ask all the time, like, holy crap, there's everybody from Siser. And like when I'm at shows, I always like handing out the Decor8 magazine, and I flip to the middle and there's Bo's picture in there, and I go, hey, go up to Condi's booth and ask him for his autograph, just to throw him under the bus a little bit.
Centerfold.
The Bo Centerfold.
It really is, man. It's like a whole page, but it's cool. But yeah, it was interesting us traveling too, because like I said, everybody's taking a lot of precaution. But it's just one of those things, man. You never know. You never know. And you know, for somebody like you, we talked a little bit over quarantine. You know, there's some folks like me. I have kids, so that's where my concern is. But for somebody like you, it's you're concerned about your own health and your family's health, and like, it's just too much. I think it's too much too soon to push on everybody.
I just think it's so unpredictable at this point, and you know, it's sad to even think a couple weeks down the line. Because you just, I mean, for how fast things have changed. I mean, right now we're in August, and it's like we're still talking about something that we were like, this is no big deal in like March, you know. So it's just interesting to see how much is kind of taken over, but I think it's woke people, you know, to the point where like a lot of people are now thinking about it. And a little sidebar note, because I get this, like, again, like you said, I traveled all the time, and it was a lot with like Brett and Johan, and you know, we're all clean guys, but I am OCD. Like I am a germaphobe, and they know that. They knew that too. And what I used to get, they used to give me so much crap about how meticulous I was about certain things, and how I was about like what I was touching and all. Like if I worked a trade show all day, or you know, even like an hour in, and I'm touching all these things, I'm shaking hands, like my hands felt like they were on fire the entire time, because in my head I was playing this out. Like in my head, I all the movies I watched got to me, you know. Or when I used to explain that to them before all this, and then Johan would say, "You watch too many movies." I was like, okay. But then
just wait till 2020, yo.
Just wait till 2020, bro.
And then when this happened, I was like,
told you.
I've been prepared my whole life. Like, you know, this is stuff I've like been aware of for a long time. And now it's kind of sad to say that I'm seeing more people wash their hands after they go out of the restroom, and you know,
which is bad that you even have to say that. I noticed that people actually wash their hands when they go to bed. Just wash your hands.
Just wash your hands.
Just wash your hands.
I mean, everything that we're doing now, there's other than wearing masks, which is not something we're used to. We should have been doing, like you said. Why would we not do that?
You know, like why
do you not wash your hands every time you touch some?
It's basic.
You know, you're at a grocery store or something like that.
Right.
Like, I mean,
it's like I don't know.
That's
anyway, we derailed a little bit. Let's get back on track.
So I want to get back into the travel just briefly, because the early times that you and I had met, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, it was always interesting to me. I was in a different at a different employer, but it was always interesting to me that I would see you at a booth that didn't say Siser on it. And it always confused me. And I'm like, I don't understand that. And I guess I just never really sat down to understand the business model of Siser. But talk about some of the relationships that you've built through, you know, housing a booth or you know, holding a booth with a distributor, or, you know, stuff like that. I mean,
sometimes, well, again, it was one of those things that took a little bit for our distributors to get comfortable to me. Because they were used to Johan, Brad, or Kathleen.
Right.
So I was the odd man that would kind of get, you know, thrown. We tried to diversify, so I got a little experience with all of our distributors that would exhibit. But I mean, it's hard for me because I like entertainment. So when there would be like dead moments at the booth, I would do everything I could to just liven it up or make it awkward or try to make something like out of their own comfort zone.
Right.
Some people took a hold of that. Some were just like, we don't need Joe again, you know? Weirdo. And it was like, you know, like, well, we'll hang on to someone else, you know? But to me, I think it was refreshing because, again, I got to be like my own, and also we all have a different personality.
Right.
So that was the other cool thing that I think a lot of people got to see. And I noticed that a lot of people took advantage of my personality when I was on their booth, because they would be basically like, hey, you're just going to run the whole booth. Like, even outside of the Siser side of this booth, like, you're going to be talking about, you know what I mean? And I had no problem with it, because it was great, because it was a partnership. It was one of those things that was like, the way I looked at it is, even though I was going into their booth as a Siser employee showing them Siser product, I also was one of their employees.
Right.
And that's kind of how I try to assimilate myself to learn like, what do you guys do as a business too? Which
Right.
also helped me know more about this industry.
More tools in the belt, right?
More tools in the belt. Like, let me know about what you have going on with your company. Like, what's the newest thing that you guys are offering? And it may not even be Siser product.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. I mean, that's got to be super beneficial.
Oh, I think it worked out really well because, again, we found ways to kind of bring it back to us.
Right.
And one of the biggest ones that I still, like, kind of took off was the sublimation on our white glitter.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
doing that video, which had absolutely nothing to do with our product line,
Right.
but because I was working a trade show where I was incessantly being asked about sublimation on a heat transfer
Yeah.
vinyl, it was just something that I was like, I'm going to go
give
and
it a shot.
practice,
Yeah.
like, just try this.
Yeah.
And after we found success on the white glitter, I was like, let's do a video real fast so we can get out there
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been about 5 years since that, and look at how far we've come
Yeah.
with Easy
Yeah.
Subly. And
100%. Well, and that's the thing too, is that Rob and I talked about this weeks ago, is that like even the Easy Subly video is still like one of the most viewed videos, I feel like, in our arsenal, maybe, if anything, but it's just because it's one of those things, it's so innovative, that opportunity. And even with the white glitter and sublimation, like, it's just such a cool opportunity to like branch off. And I can't remember, you see it because you handle our Siser North America. If you're a member of the Siser North America support page, Joe, you are the moderator, main admin on there. But there's one person, I can't remember, maybe you know the name of the guy, but he always does like some type of sublimation on the white glitter. But he has like real cool designs. So do like a Rick Ross, and like the beard is all like sublimation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know his name, though.
Yeah.
He does. He's got a lot of cool projects, and it's really kind of interesting because, ironically, it used to be the guys that would always complain about, before we got Easy
Yeah.
Subly, it was, do you guys have something that isn't glitter that I can sublimate on?
Right.
Yeah.
And it would always be the guys that
Yeah.
would say that. And we didn't at the time. And now it's funny because I know
Yeah.
what you're talking, I can't think of the name, but
Yeah.
We'll see if
he
we can
comes-
find him post edit.
Yeah,
and
we'll
get a proper
definitely.
shot
Yeah,
of it,
we'll
right?
definitely post it and put it on there too, because he does a lot of he'll do like gold chain.
Oh, it's
But it's
awesome.
all sublimated
Yeah.
in the glitter, so it really shines. It's incredible. So yeah, we'll find that. But you're right too. Is like you are an extension, and one thing that Mandy said when she was in here is that you're an extension of their marketing as well. You know, you're giving them content, and like we talked about when we were working with Dorinda down at, I think we were working in Kansas City. You were in their booth, but talking about the prism cut. And one of the things that I found not really fascinating, I kind of knew that this was the way that you operated, but when we talked about that prism, you know, one of their objectives was to try to sell that thing at the show. But you don't seem like the kind of person that will manufacture that. You have to have it and use it and get comfortable with it, because it's the only way that you can honestly present it to somebody. And you sold the hell out of them there.
Yeah, well, it was really the design, that
Yeah.
T-shirt that sold it, coming up
Yeah.
with something to show.
Which
and
a lot of
that's
controversy around that
A
design.
lot of controversy on that.
Well, now I got to hear it, man.
Well, that one got into, that was, it's probably one of my favorite projects that I've ever done.
Yeah.
And it was a design that was so intricate. So for those that have ever used any heat transfer
Yeah.
vinyl would just say that's impossible.
Yeah.
And this prism cut, I guess quick plug, was able to cut this fine detail of it was 5 layers of Siser Easy Weed stretch.
Wow.
And it was and
Was
I
it like
was
a
using
Mayan
it for
calendar or
personal.
something?
What?
It was like a Mayan calendar or something?
No.
No, I was using it so it's personal use, but I didn't make it, but I got a Walter White Breaking Bad, like
Cut file.
very distressed
Okay.
cut file.
Yeah.
And I cut 5 layers of Siser Easy Weed stretch, laid them onto a shirt, and posted up a video of like my cutting, weeding,
Yeah.
heat apply, showed it. And it turned into controversy because I shared it. I like blasted it all over social media,
Yeah.
and it went viral. Like people were freaking out about it. But of course, just like everything, there's got to be the naysayers on it.
Of
so
course.
I had multiple people, like
Yeah.
you know how they just one person puts a comment
The
that's
trolls
like
come
negative,
out.
Yeah.
and then they all just latch onto that, but they have no basis, especially when you're blatantly showing something happen before
The
your
troll
eyes.
toll.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta pay it. You gotta,
You gotta
pay
pay
it.
the troll toll.
So it was one that turned into a little bit of a battle because
Yeah.
he was like, "There's no way that's heat transfer vinyl." even though in the video I legitimately showed the process. And no, I take it back. I showed a picture first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had a picture. He said that looked like it was screen printed or DTG or something.
Yeah.
Then I made the video.
Okay.
But before I did that, I was like, how much? He wanted to bet me. He said $50.
Let's do it.
I said bet.
Yeah.
And then I went. I made a video. And then I was like, it was one of those mic drop moments that I just like put it up in that group and walked away.
Was he a man of his word though?
No. And he still had the audacity to try to argue it, but then eventually came to understanding that
the 900 comments that are saying, "Wow, this is amazing."
Exactly.
Okay.
And then it was a pseudo apology.
Let's get him.
It wasn't even
Blast him now.
You know what I mean? But it got into a battle. But there's nothing more gratifying than showing that to be like, because that's even more of a wow factor, especially for our heat transfer vinyls, is because if somebody, because my biggest goal is kind of converting screen printers, because vinyl's been such a taboo thing for our screen printers and people that are used to inks, sublimators,
like color job. There's no way.
The feel of it, the workability of it, all these things. So when you show a project like that they go, no.
Yeah.
Like there's no way.
There's no way.
And that's what happened in Kansas City.
The sheer aggression on Joe's face in this video, though, he's like,
showing you, buddy. That's awesome.
Just sheer aggression in his face. You can see it because it's so frustrating when you're like, why would I put something out there that's dishonest?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's not. That actually is like screen print and try to pass it off.
When you're representing a company that manufactures heat transfer vinyl.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, and shout out to Adam for shooting it for me. He helped me film it. Because another thing is, those that aren't familiar with the weeding process, people looked at that and they were like, that must have taken forever to weed. And without Adam having to cut it, to weed those 5 layers took a total of 12 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like all that intricacy, all that detail, that's all it took for 5 colors. So it was quite impressive.
We're not going to talk about how long it took to cut, though.
Okay, that's a different story.
That's a different story. Yeah.
That's fair.
That's on the Prism.
That's on the Prism. That's on you, Prism.
It's on you.
That's funny. So that's actually brings me to a good point, is talking about like the platforms and how you come up with creative content, because you're good at collabing with people and just kind of, like that one. That was somebody's. I remember you telling me about it. That was somebody's cut file that he had actually made and shared with you to then put out there. Like, how do you come up with that creative content? Whether it's you're utilizing maybe have influences already in the industry, but you're utilizing somebody else's work, or you're creating work, or you're collaborating. How do you figure out what your steps are for that process?
Well, I guess it's all going to be dependent on who I'm partnering up with on that. So if it's a distributor, and it's something to talk about, like a particular product that might be exclusive to them and maybe something unique to them and what they do. And for example, like who gave me the artwork, like they're predominantly creating all sorts of artwork that can be used for any kind of decoration.
Right.
And so it's like just to show a small portion of what you're able to do with it. The other side of the influence to me, and it's always been that way, is to, like, anytime I'm talking about something or educating, like, I look at it as talking to myself without knowing anything about the industry.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, when I was a little bit younger, too, and again, like, screen printing to me was, like, the coolest thing, and that's where all merchandise for bands would be done.
Stuff is.
Absolutely.
The original artwork and content was that.
And my whole career has been with heat transfer vinyl. So my thing is kind of one of those underdog stories where I'm always like, heat transfer vinyl had a bad rep 20 years ago. It's like, you guys have been out of the game for a while, and it's had this stigma for a really long time that for me, every time I show a project, I try to convey it with the ease of use and showing something that you can do no matter what age or where you're at with an industry, or even if you're just trying to figure out a career path for yourself. So that's what I look at a lot of the times, is like somebody that's lost, doesn't know what they're doing. It's like, here's how you can start, and it's not going to take a lot. And that's usually what the inspiration for like anything I post, and also try to get people hyped up about it as well. It's always like, because otherwise it's just so, Bueller, you know what I mean? And it's just, I can't handle that, because the way I look and speak to an audience is like, I would like to watch.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's the way that you
want
wanted to receive that information too. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree too. Anyways, talk about right now.
I felt you were looking for me to like ask.
I was looking.
Wait, what?
Sure. I agree.
I thought you wanted to say so. I always try to look over.
I was going to say something, but I didn't want to get too far into it. But I kind of want to save it for a little bit later. But you put me on the spot here, so I want to talk about screen printing versus vinyl now, kind of, because I think that's a hefty challenge convince others that are so used to screen printing onto vinyl. But if I'm starting to think about it subjectively, you have much less of a footprint. You're not getting dirty.
Yeah.
You're not, if you've got a job for 5 shirts, you're really going to burn 8 screens. So,
it's time.
You hit the nail on the head. And that's as far as I could take it, because when the other sides of the arguments go, I understand. Like
100%.
You're not going to produce 30, 50 plus shirts using heat transfer vinyl with such a detailed cut and all that stuff. I get it, and believe me, I understand. It's just, it's not only just the having no minimums concept, which is a huge part for us that we try to educate to people, is that's where you want to step into heat transfer vinyl. Instead of being a screen printer that's like, somebody comes to you with 10 jobs and you're like, I'm not doing that. Why say no to that job?
Right.
And instead, here's an option. Because then what they rebuttal with is, because it feels heavy. It feels, it feels this, it feels that. It's like, what was the last product you've tried using?
87. Since 87.
You know what I mean? And that's where I'm like, okay, so now you're talking about PVC products. You're talking about things that you can't layer
Real
anymore,
thick.
real thick. And just my personal favorites. I always say this, and I'm very biased in my videos that I do that on the personal end. And I love our Easy Weed Stretch. I mean, that's like one of my always go-to products, just because it is so thin, and even showing, and you've seen it, you felt that Breaking Bad shirt I did, 5 colors on a shirt, washed 20 times, no cracking, no shrinking, no any kind of issues that you might get with some of those inks. So the longevity.
And in my opinion, actually, that shirt probably feels, and again, my experience with screen print is just transfers. But in my experience, that feels almost thinner than screen print.
Absolutely.
To me. Just the way that the shirt, and a lot of that goes into as well. And I noticed this, at least in the screen print world, of if you go on to like, and this isn't to bash anybody, but you go on like a custom ink or something like that, they usually have a standard economy shirt, and most people that get those shirts made are getting low amounts of those quantities done. So with that said, if you have a Gildan, 5000, which is like a really heavier cotton shirt, if you're gonna put screen print out there, it's gonna feel better than if you put HTV, because HTV does have a little bit of depth to it. But at the same time, if you're using, a district like a Re-Tee that's a thinner cotton, or you're using a polyester based or whatever, it's going to feel relatively the same. That's one thing that I've always talked about, is like the feel test. Put 2 of them comparatively together. You can't be in a screen print shop or DTG shop and never have the opportunity to even compare the 2 side by side, and then have a skewed opinion. So.
And like Chad said, the footprint too alone. Like, I mean, you got even a 4-head screen print, like that's going to take up this room. You know what I mean?
And
but you could have a vinyl cutter. You could even have a large format printer in here. And you could have a heat press. Like this room alone could encompass an entire business that you could do.
We've all been to a shop where somebody's in a room this size and they're crawling in between rollers just to get to the next machine, because they have 4, eco solvents in here, like stacked one by one back to.
And then going back to the OCD, I don't know why, but shops just always have sporadic puddles of ink on the floor. Like, why is there so much ink?
It's always cement floor.
Discharge everywhere. Like,
clean up, people.
Clean up,
Come
people.
on.
Just clean it up.
Respect your area.
But it's a good point. Your time and effort, I understand the side of I don't even want to touch it. But if you think about it, like those smaller jobs, and we talked about this on earlier episodes, that could just be your keep the lights on money, those 10 or 15 jobs you might do.
Yeah.
And then all your main profit comes from, your big workhorses that have, 4, 5, 6 stations built.
Oh,
in
yeah.
them, you know what I mean?
And nothing against screen print.
Right,
Again, like
100%.
they're the OG of this entire industry. They're never going anywhere. I mean,
They're probably still the whale in the ocean.
Oh,
right?
it's
it's not a
100%.
There's no denying it.
It's just one of those things that, like,
It's a personal
it's just
challenge.
one of those guys that's like, I'm not even going to give it a try.
Yeah.
That's more like what I'm trying to go for is say, I get it. And hey, man, I'm edgy too. But it's like, just try this.
Yeah.
Like, and then if you're still like, there's no way you can utilize this
Or be
to
profitable or
be
whatever.
profitable or expand your business into new worlds. Because the other end of it is, I know I'm talking about our thinnest matte finish product that would be comparable to ink screen print.
Yeah.
But we have all the other variations of our heat
Right.
transfer vinyls, right? So, I mean, you're also going to be opening up your doors to a newer audience with
Right. Correct.
other types of specialty type
Effects.
products like glitters and holographic.
And we even see it at shows especially when we demo hats. What's the biggest product? Brick. Like everybody loves the dimension and the feel of brick, and even like the embossing and brick with using Easy Weed Stretch and brick together. It just opens up a different realm. And why wouldn't you want to put, I get it, if you have a smaller shop and you're a one-man operation, 2 to 5 people, but if you're a bigger operation, why wouldn't you want to open your catalog up?
I agree. I agree.
Now, going on that a little bit more in depth, though, talk about trends that you see, because you're on social media all the time, and you're also very, very in tune with everyone kind of in the industry. I feel like collectively you have probably the most knowledge of this side of the industry, whether Brett, you could say Brett or Johan argue, maybe they know more about the business side or whatever, but talk about trends that you're seeing now and potentially where do you think this kind of all plays out in the end?
Well, I mean, I get, like you were saying, I mean, sometimes even on social media, it's really refreshing and gratifying to see. It's like watching your babies grow, So like after you educate these people and they learn from you, and then they just kind of take the ball and run with it, and they find their own ways. Because again, we're going 20 plus years back into this industry where vinyl, all it was used for was
Die cuts.
but sports. Names and numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Names and numbers is like all that vinyl was ever used for.
Yep.
So to think about personalization up to this day, like to where it's used again, head to toe decoration. Outside of that, it's such a crazy thing to think about where the trends will be because again, like I didn't think 6 years ago I was going to be talking about anything outside of just a t-shirt. You know what I mean? And it's like now seeing people utilize them for decorating. I mean, I watched this guy, he took only scrap pieces of various heat transfer vinyl, and he was decorating suits.
Really?
Like he was using just scrap pieces that anyone would normally throw away and cut them in various shapes of all the flashy types of vinyls we have and apply them onto suits and sell them for unbelievably premium prices.
Really?
And he had a full-blown business on that.
What do
Really?
these suits look like?
They were remarkably loud. Like it was incredible, though. I was just like, but it's one of those things that, like, again, one person's garbage is another man's treasure, right? So it's like this guy. That's exactly how he explained it to me. He's like, "Do you?" Because he came up. He's like looking in the trash at this booth, and he's like, "Is all that waste? Like, are you?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, man? Like, I got some vinyl for you if you need." But he's like, "No. He's like, I don't wait. Like, I use the vinyl if I need it, but I use scrap pieces of all your, like, really flashy products. So, glitter, holographic, metal, like the really blingy ones. And he showed me these pictures of what he was selling online of these suits that had the really edgy LA look to it. And it was all high fashion photos. And he's like, that's all just scrap.
Yeah.
And he's like, told me the price point that he sells some of these things at. And I was like, never in a million years would I have
Would've
thought
of doing that.
that's what this is. Where
That's
it's
incredible,
going.
man.
So I mean, we went from names and numbers in sports to high fashion
Suits, yeah.
to
From
suit
scrap.
and suits.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so difficult to say because I know we're really immersed again in the crafter industry
Yeah.
and we see like small quantity stuff, but like that was another benefit of being on the road because you saw projects like that
Yeah.
that you were like,
When the things that they come up with, especially when you're in like an open house, my favorite thing is we show our pizza box and we display our products and we talk about them, and then people will be like, well, can you layer glitter on glitter? And you're like, well, we don't recommend it. And they're like, well, I just did a project. And they show you this like immaculate, incredible design they did, layering glitter. And it makes you feel kind of dumb because you're like, I didn't think about that. But as soon as I get back, that's the first thing.
You know, and to be fair,
there's
just
ways
to,
around it.
Just to save face for ourselves, for those that ever like question when we say you can't do it, and I tell people this all the time.
Yeah.
The only reason we ever say you can't is because we expect you're going to wash it.
Right.
And if we haven't had 100% wash test success, we tell people no.
Yep.
So if you try it and it works for you, I say, do your thing, boo-boo.
Right.
That's it. You know what I mean? Like, I always say it because I'm like, because if you did it and I said, yeah, it works sometimes, and you tried it and it didn't work,
Less
and you
likely to
called
keep on
us
it,
and said, that weirdo told me that
it's
it was
back on you.
okay. Like, so we just do it to save our own face.
Well, and I think that's important because, coming from a technical background, I would always advise anybody that worked for me that if you don't know the answer, just say you don't know the answer.
Right.
And be honest about it. But we would always tail it off with, I don't know the answer, but I've got a fantastic team that I can get you that answer.
There you go.
And eventually we will get you that answer. It may not work 100% of the time, but we don't want to vocalize that, yes, it's going to work for you guys. And then we get the trolls coming out and hating on Joe.
Paying the troll toll.
Paying the troll toll.
And even more so, to elaborate more so on that, it's just if I haven't done it myself, I'm not going to tell you that it works, right?
Touché.
Like if I haven't played around with the material or I haven't done it in that way, which I'm glad. That's why I like shows and open houses and stuff, because you find out things that you've never tried before, you bring it back, and now you can educate the next person.
Exactly.
But I tell people all the time, if I haven't done it, I don't trust it. Even if it's on our website and it says, "Hey, I did exactly what you guys had said," and the infamous line is always, "I've been doing this for 30 years with your vinyl." What? Like, okay, cool, you lived in Italy, that's awesome. But I always tell people, if I haven't tried it or I haven't made it successful, I'm not going to tell you that it works. Right. It just doesn't work like that.
And it is, and it gives you more credibility too, because I mean that was another way for me to be a little bit more confident with our products too, is to get hands-on, try it out. I mean, again, Brett and Johan make fun of me all the time because I actually wear shirts that have our products on it. It doesn't say Siser, but I use them to decorate things for personal use. But most of the time it's like, because I want to be just a regular 32-year-old dude that washes everything together in one particular way. When we're telling people you have to have it this way, and I'm like, if I wash this like the way I wash things and it survives, then that's
You're
awesome.
good.
Yeah,
You know what I
100%.
mean? So
well, now you get a chance to wear the bow one of a kinds.
oh yeah,
There's only one. There's only one of them, and Bo's infamous. I'm not making 5 of them, right? I'm making one.
but that used to be how it was
But there's you're wearing the Bow exclusives now.
all the
those are
time.
gonna get famous.
Oh,
we're gonna make Bo will be on like in New York at the fashion shows with his products. Like, I can see it.
Let's hook him up with the suit guy, man. We'll get
I know, right?
Yeah, there you
I
go.
wish
That's
I had
perfect.
his full contact, but it was incredible, and he had a whole business, like a website.
Yeah.
like, and he was like, I was like, yeah, what do you sell? A couple of these on Etsy kind of thing?
Yeah.
And he was like, nope, pulled up like a mobile website.
Here's my
too.
financial statement.
Yeah,
Check this
right.
out.
And I was like, and you were just digging in my trash.
Yeah,
so
right.
don't judge people.
100%.
No,
You know?
it's funny that you said that
So-
because I had a guy that he used to be a contractor for us, and his shout out Irv Donaldson. I love you, buddy. He's a former Army guy, former NYPD policeman, and he opened up a boutique in New York. That man would collect more trash from me.
Really?
I swear, twice on Sundays.
Didn't I hear you mention him on the road?
Yeah, I said we got to get him on. I'm going to
We
reach
gotta
out
get
to
him on, yeah.
But he's every VersaCam class I held or every trade show we'd be at, he'd come. Hey, Irv Donaldson, I got to give him the Brooklyn.
That was.
But he would grab everything, and he uses it and he's profitable with it.
Absolutely.
Like those boutique shops in Brooklyn and stuff like that. They will use the craziest stuff and come up with the loudest noise you can see.
Yeah.
And they're profitable, and shout out to them. More power.
And I mean, it's kind of hard to say going back on the trends question, because I mean, just like technology, trends in fashion are forever changing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like it's funny to say, like, I look at what the kids these days are wearing, and then it's like, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Like, because some of these outfits I see, I'm just like,
Yeah.
Why are those strings on your hoodie attached to your belt? Like, what is that?
Exactly. Like, what's this color scheme you're wearing?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I'm
come
seeing
on,
like
though.
fluorescent neon colors.
We had
and
Janko jeans.
That's what
Hey,
I'm
those were
talking
cool though,
about.
man.
Those were sweet.
But we used to have 8-ball patches on the legs of it. You know what I mean? And it
Or
was
the
like,
old Hot Topic
Oh, then
chain
that
busters.
was- yeah.
Those were ridiculous too.
so it's just
It's hard to gauge it.
It's hard to gauge it
Yeah.
because, like, I think like somebody's gonna forever find a new way of revitalizing
Yeah.
it. As soon as we think we've hit a ceiling with where we can go
Right.
with how we can
Somebody's looking for
showcase products, it's just gonna be, you know, a brand new door of how the, you know, Siser products can get utilized.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Easy Subbly is probably by far the most innovative product I've ever seen in this industry.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah.
I
And it's-
never would have thought of something like that.
Well, it's funny
awesome,
too, and not to sell anybody out, but Brett showed me a onesie the other day, and you could tell it was done on, like, you know, the transfer stuff that you get at just like Walmart or something, that they're printable, and it was just a big square on a shirt. And I told Brett, I said, why don't we redo this and we'll use like Easy Subbly, because at least we can contour cut it and we can make it look really good, and it's not just a big, and it was on a onesie too, a kid's onesie, so it's like this just big like 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I was like, that kid's never gonna sleep at night ever. It just hears crunching like all night. So, but no, I want to get into something that I think is one of the most important things, is like just what you do for us on a social media platform, and talking about the power of social media and how that works. And I know we've kind of gone into bits and pieces, but early on, you know, where did your mind go with building the brand? Because that's a whole nother animal of building the brand of Siser within our social media.
Yeah, and I think where it originally started excelling was Instagram,
Right.
Which Instagram is taken off. You know, Lily's done a fantastic job helping me out with that as well, and taking it to another level.
Yeah.
But I knew, obviously, we're in a visual industry, so it was just any way we could get a camera on something and showcase it. And I mean, I was just using, you know, a much lower quality cell phone at the time, and just taking photos on my desk and putting them up.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing was, like, as much as people got annoyed by the spamming feeling of it, I was like, that's what we need to do right now.
Yeah.
It's like, so as much as I can put up there visually and be like, here's this product on this, here's this product on this, and open up dialogue, because that's my biggest thing, is once you get somebody kind of intrigued and they may be apprehensive about it, but they ask that one question, and you can get there and like answer it as fast as possible. That, I think, was the best part about social media, because social media, for me, in my position, kind of encompasses everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, not only, you know, as the educator, sales, tech support, it's all of that. And obviously, the bigger we've grown, we've obviously had a lot more of us. Like, Pat, you're on there, Bo's on there, Lily's on there, like Adam's, you know, we're all on helping answer as much as we can. But it's also refreshing, again, going back to being like, now I'm seeing people I educated 6 years ago answering these questions too.
I love it.
Like, to this day. Like, that to me is one of the most gratifying things of any of it, is just seeing them take the reins.
The best thing about it too is, like, now with Facebook, so we'll talk good about you, Zuckerberg, this time. The good thing about Facebook,
He's watching.
He actually watches. He calls me like 3 times a week. He's like, "Oh, that was a great episode, man.
Don't upset him anymore.
Oh, that was really nice.
We did
nice,
last week.
polo you wore last week." But just got it. One of the nice thing is now is there's like those badges of like top fans and stuff. The cool thing is you can almost, I don't want to say that there's ever a wrong answer to everything, but there are some people that, you know, they've done it in their way and it's worked for them, but I attributed it to a couple weeks ago talking about like baking. If you're at a certain elevation, you need to set your oven to a certain temperature. You know what I mean? And so knowing that there's those top fan badges and different stuff like that outside of our team that's on those lives, those are the go-to people that you know have been watching for a long time. They know the way that you might answer that question, or I might answer that question, or Adam or anybody else might answer that question, and they're now able to kind of take the reins, which I think is super helpful. But it's all an homage to you of like really making sure that personal time is met. Like the robe sessions, which you need to come out with some more robe sessions, I'm just saying. But those robe sessions are the most important because that's when I see you in you're most in your element when you're at home. And like you can just have those conversations. Doesn't matter, you know, you're obviously pushing our product, but you can push them in your way of like, this is how I would address it. Right. You know what I mean?
And like you were saying earlier, you know, like, you know, you and your wife have a side business kind of thing. And that was kind of what happened over the years of being here at Siser, was just like, again, to get that personal usage of the product, I started personally using it for people, you know, businesses I was friends with, like people around me, just to also put myself in the shoes of an end user. Yeah. Because again, as we've all mentioned, like we're a manufacturer, so we go through the distributor chain. So we're like, this is the social media end is our best way to get to that end user and actually see what they're doing and answer the problems that they might have. So when I was able to use it and become that end user, that was just one thing that I was like, all right, well, let me go full vulnerable. You know, take it out of the Siser studio, go from my basement, shoot it on my cell phone, and literally wear a robe. Right. And it just kind of became a thing, but I kept it obviously like more for the Siser support group. That's where those go in. But a lot of people actually, I think, found that refreshing and didn't have that, like, I feel like a manufacturer's just talking. It was like, hey, now I'm up here.
I'm with you.
Now I'm with you. Like, I've been through those problems. And it was more to show them, like, hey, if I can do it in the Siser studio and I can do this on a live in my basement without, you know, lighting and bells and whistles about the video, it's like, this is what I'm trying to show you. It's like, what we show you is through and through legit. So like, if I'm still not answering your questions here, like, let us know. Don't go and tell other people that you had failure and the product's garbage and all of this and that. It's like, if we're missing something, just come to us. Like, we'll help you no matter what. We're not going to tell you, you know, and try to make you feel or belittle you. You know, it's all about finding out, like, what's the missing step.
Well, and we'll never turn you away because it only benefits us, too, to know what's going on. If there's failure in a specific place or you have a specific vinyl, you know, that may be discolored from middle to edge or whatever it is, we need to know that information. And if you're going on, you know, and no bashing any brands or anything else, but a silhouette support group or a Cricut support group and, you know, obviously talking negatively about our product, and then you have all the other people that may have had an issue with that, but it's not the same problem. Like, that's not getting to the bottom of anything, and it's not helping us to better our brand, too. So it's like that's a partnership in itself.
Well, I think that kind of answers one of the questions we were talking about earlier. This has all come full circle now. We were talking about building relationships on the road and whatnot. You've built so many relationships with our customers just by having them relate to you and taking a step out of the box and understanding the product, not only for your confidence level with the product, but also to be aware and see what you like, what you don't like. And instead of going to somebody else, it's like calling your buddy if you've got a problem with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey, man, just reach out direct and let's talk about it, and maybe we'll find something else that works.
Slide in them DMs.
That's it.
You might not want too many of those.
No, it happens either way. But
I can imagine.
Right. Okay, so enough. We're not going to talk about Siser anymore. We're not going to talk about the podcast anymore. Listen,
you're a loser.
Come on, easy, fella, easy. Wait a minute, I just realized something. Just Rob.
Yeah.
Do you have a hat on that says Dad?
Yeah.
You got a cat or something,
dude? This is what I'm dealing with,
dog,
man.
It's just Dad.
This is what I'm dealing with here. I'm going to take a picture of that.
But that's what I'm saying, though.
No
like,
pets.
Like, do you guys remember ever wearing a hat that just said dad on it, though?
No.
Nope.
Like, fashion has changed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it, because I
Yeah.
would wear one that said dad, too, because
Right.
why not, apparently, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, I don't know.
I bought it because of the period.
I have nothing to do. You see
Yeah,
what I got to deal with, dude?
I know.
Might have
The
to
only
edit- might have
part
to edit
I'm
that
kind
one
of
out.
bummed out about it is it's embroidery and not Siser Eats Transylvania.
We'll make you a new one.
It took some damage. I actually thought about making a second one.
Did you?
awesome.
Yeah.
You
Nice.
should. You should
I
totally
should.
do it. And
Couple
put
colors.
Strip Flock Pro next to it.
It
and
looks like
show
you might
the
have washed
embroidered
that one a
version.
couple times. It may have shrunk a little bit. I'm not going to
I
say
got a
it.
small hand.
Okay, well,
That's just sweat.
it's my favorite line from a movies. Yeah, like it was some other little fat guy with a tiny head. I get a tiny head.
I got a tiny
I got a
head.
tiny head. All right, well, we just got demonetized.
Well, speaking
Anyways,
about movies.
exactly. Yeah, to bring my point. Now let's get into just you. Talk about what you do outside of here, because I mean, majority of people know that you act. You're a musician. You know, there's a lot of other things that you do outside of here that you also are able to bring into this world. But like, where did the acting bug come from? Was that from a young age, or is that something you got later in life? Or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was, you know, and that's great too, though. I think Pat and I, we immediately kind of clicked on a lot of movie references, which
Right.
was refreshing to me because I'm a cinephile. Like
Right.
it's been since as far back as I can remember, my older brother and me, like as soon as my parents got a camcorder, it was just,
Yeah.
let's make movies with like our action figures.
Yep.
And it was literally like the press record, stop it, press record, stop it. You
Yeah.
had to make sure everything was, that was
Yeah.
your editing.
was like
Yeah.
right? So
claymation.
it was like, and so I think after that and just, I played sports
Yeah.
all the way up to like middle school, but none of them clicked.
Yeah.
Like nothing clicked for me. And I think,
So are you admitting that Brett was better than you in football then? 'Cause you guys were on the same team.
with the Sweet Green Hornets.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if third grade counted, but yeah.
All right, whatever.
I think, you know.
Anyway.
But yeah,
It would if he got the upper hand though.
Oh,
Yeah, he'll
Brett
take it
would-
all the way
yeah.
back to third grade.
I remember that one time I juked you in third grade.
Broke your
Remember
ankle?
that time?
Right.
I did break a guy's wrist. But anyways, when I got into middle school, I started playing the music and got into school band. And I had just picked up the guitar, but of course school band didn't have a guitar.
Right.
So then it was like, oh, the next best thing was drums or percussion. And when I got into that, even being in band, I started feeling a little bit more of that entertainment, and I loved the performance end, but
Yeah.
I was like, this still isn't really what I want to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be in a band.
Yeah.
So then it was just after that, I stuck with drums and just kind of started I was self-taught and all of it, and I just kind of would play every day, headphones on, annoy my parents like none other, but
God
bless
bless
their
them for-
hearts
yeah.
for letting me do
Yeah.
it. And it was when I realized like this is like all I want to do, and it was just kind of until I met up with other musicians in high school. That was when it started, like when writing music and creating things together in that way.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
And film wasn't even a part of it yet. Like
Right.
film was always just a passion.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like something I thought I'd get into. And then it wasn't until I was already in this field, and like I said in the beginning, like I thought I was gonna make it with this one
Yeah.
band, and then it just
We're gonna
like
tour. We're gonna go platinum,
we
bro.
were,
Yep.
we had a lot going on. We did do a lot,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, that was a great experience, but
I had that dream, but we didn't do a lot.
it didn't end up doing.
We didn't end up doing anything. No.
I mean, I loved where
Yeah.
we got, but then it was weird. It just kind of I got randomly approached in the early days of Facebook at the time, and this guy was like, "Do you want to like?" He was like, "Do you want to be in this movie?" And
Yeah.
obviously, it still sounded weird at the
Yeah.
time. But I was like, well, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, I got we're shooting this film, and you look just like the lead guy in the movie. We need to
good.
shoot this flashback scene of his father."
Oh.
And so he was like, he didn't even know if I had experience. It was
Yeah.
just because I looked like this
like
lead
Siser,
guy.
yeah.
And it was kind of uncanny. We did look a lot alike. And I was like, well, I've never really been in a movie, but I was like, why not give this a shot? I love film. I know what he's going for.
Yeah,
sure.
He didn't know me. I show up to the set, which to me, I was blown away because it was a local film, and the fact that like we were in an institute, which was creepy too. It was like in Detroit, this desolate spot, but he had a whole crew, all this stuff. And I'm like, again, used to a camcorder with my brother shooting action figures. And I thought that was awesome. So I'm like, this is big time. Like, this is crazy.
This is what you see in the behind the scenes, like in movies,
And then to know it was like local and it was super, and everyone was really nice. And I was like, okay, well, now I get to play like a psycho.
I'm here to play the Psycho. Who do I talk to?
I'm like, what do I do?
Psycho number
like,
one.
Was put him in makeup. It was like going through the whole thing, and I was like, oh wow. So I'm like, in my head, I'm gonna take this as seriously as I can.
Yeah.
Sure. It's an opportunity, right?
It was I was like, well, if this never happens again, whatever. And ironically, I was going to Sundance Film Festival the next day. I went and shot my scene, and the director called me like the next day, and he was like, "You're gonna be in every project I do after this."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, okay,
You're cool. Yeah, I'm
like
in.
And then I didn't realize that this guy wrote like a new script like every month.
That's awesome.
Is this
And-
HW?
No. It was another guy way before his time.
Okay.
This was, we're talking like 12, 13 years ago. And I, even though, like he never really finished anything.
Yeah.
But what I think was awesome is he always had a new project.
Yeah.
And I was always in something. So what was great is I just had so much more practice and comfort level in front of the camera, like working on his
on the
films.
job learning, yeah.
Even though they didn't really get finished, it was just practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then eventually I networked enough with other production companies that actually finished stuff and started doing things.
Yeah.
And that was, I owe a lot to those experiences because it got me to at least be more confident in myself and more prepared. And my biggest thing is punctuality and attendance and like showing up, knowing your stuff. And so when I was doing that with these other production crews and they were seeing that, it was just, jobs just started coming.
Yeah. Really?
So that was where I just noticed like, I didn't have to do much. And then with social media, you throw it out there. And then before you know it, like more people were reaching out. So that was really awesome because that just kind of took over and that became predominantly what I was doing. But sadly, music took a back burner.
Yeah.
And so, that's like mainly my biggest focuses in the last probably decade. I've probably done close to 30 plus films.
Really?
Between full features and short films.
Isn't it crazy? I have to, just Rob probably has a thing or two to say about that, but isn't it crazy that you don't even realize if that thing's going to get finished or not when you're shooting a film?
Yeah.
So I was a boom op for a film shot here in Detroit, and there were some pretty decent profile actors in it, right?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and we're we do this whole shoot, and it's people have no idea what goes into these things. Like you said earlier, it's just insane. They'll shut down a school for a day, whatever it is. But for about 8 months, I'm like, hey, when's this thing coming out? When's it coming out? I want to hear my work. Not like I even did anything, but I want to. Hey, she sounded good on the when she was talking on my TV.
Yeah.
But I don't think it got released for like another year and a half.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
There's a lot of things that kind of fall into it. And I mean, that sounds like it was probably a little bit more of a budgeted film, too. A lot of the ones we did local were like guerrilla shooting.
Sure.
So it was like, okay, we got like maybe
You get
an
you
hour
got a window
to shoot all this
There's
stuff.
20 minutes till the cop shows up at this
so-
high school.
so
We
if
got
a cop shows up, we might lose the entire scene. I
Just
don't
everybody
know.
run. You grab this, you're gonna grab this. We're all gonna dip out of here.
I mean,
Yeah.
and get a shot of the cops chasing us too.
Get a
Oh,
shot.
yeah,
Make
yeah,
sure you're
yeah.
running that camera.
we need that B-roll.
Yeah.
Rob's shaking his head. He
It
knows.
happens. I have so much footage of that.
That's awesome.
It's true though,
Yeah.
but the post-production end of it is where when you're on the acting or if you're part of the crew or any of that stuff, for the most part, once you know you have a rep, you're like, my job is done.
Yeah.
Right.
But the rest of it is kind of that hold your breath. And for me, I'm like, I might as well start pushing it
Yeah.
and marketing
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, the thing nowadays is everybody like gets BTS, right? Behind the scenes shots. You get shots, you throw it up on your social media, you get your friends excited about it. And then they're like, well, when's that movie coming out? And you're
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Hopefully
Yeah.
the next
But
year or two.
Actually, that's funny because I pressure him a lot on that because I missed when I came here. I missed his premiere by like what, a month
Yeah, it
maybe
was just
at that
barely.
time, and we were sitting over in La Marsa, which I can tell you went there for lunch, by the way. No,
Don't let him match in here.
don't let him in. No, anyways, but yeah, I talk to him all the time. I'm like, hey man, you get any more information on that movie? He's like, I can't say anything yet.
I know. I
can't
know.
say anything.
Well,
Which
it's-
film was this? Was this you
So-
and a
so-
brother or I forget what?
Basically, the
It's-
same dynamic we are right now is what that was.
I know
I'm
exactly
actually
which one
pissed
you're talking
I
about.
didn't come and we didn't meet a year ago because maybe that could have been.
Oh,
me. No.
it could have been really.
shout out
He
to
didn't
that.
even end up going out to the premiere we had last summer, and that was the last thing I shot. Yeah, that was 2018. It's a full feature called 45 Days to Be Rich.
That's
it's a
it.
comedy,
Yes.
which was really refreshing for me because Johan and Brett can both attest to. I do a lot of thriller, drama, horror films, like of those natures, right?
Yeah.
And like, spoiler alert, I'm like 60% of the films I'm in, like I die.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
a lot of them, right?
You're
Like,
that guy.
I'm either like brutally murdered
Yeah.
or I get killed. And so
Right.
like when people that are not familiar in how, the film industry works and how acting and movies are fantasy and fake and all that stuff. But when you're close to somebody,
Yeah.
like my mom can't watch that stuff, right? Like,
right.
but like I would get a text from like Johan, and he would be like, "Why'd you just show me that?" Like, I'm getting
Oh,
anxiety.
really?
Yeah, he would be
So,
like,
like,
to
they're-
watch me
wow.
get
Yeah.
killed.
Well, that's weird, man.
That's
That's
what it's like.
interesting,
He's like,
yeah.
I can't watch that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, first off, I'm flattered because
Yeah,
that means
yeah.
my acting is
Yeah,
a little bit like
spot on.
You can
Realistic. Yeah.
you believe
I'm
it.
here, by the way. I'm alive.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, you're texting me.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
texting back. You're texting me, Mom. I'm okay.
But
Yeah.
that's kind of what you have to do. And I remember I had for an HW project, we had a premiere at an Imagine Theater, and that was a big time thing. And I was a lead in that, and I had a lot of my family come to that one, and the subject matter was on a darker end. And
Is
I'm
that
like,
Enigma? Is that what that one?
it's called
Okay.
Enigma
Yeah, yeah.
now. It used to be called Taken Over at the
Okay.
time. And it involves,
Yeah.
certain topics. And it was just like, I had to kind of sit them down.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
a
This
kid
is
and be
not
like, listen,
real.
this is a movie.
Right.
The
Yeah.
talk my mom had to give me when I first saw Exorcist.
Yeah.
And here's where I am today. Like, she literally had to pull me aside.
Full
I was
circle.
like, 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like, yes, rated
Yeah.
R. And she was like, it's a movie.
Yeah.
And I had to do that. So
Yeah.
it's just I guess that's kind of what you're going for, right?
Right.
So to go back, like 45 Days to Be Rich is a comedy, and that was a full feature, and we had our premiere in 2019,
Yeah.
right before you got here. In
Where
the
Brett
summer.
got famous, by the
Brett
way.
got
I think you told me that.
Yeah, we won't get too deep into the details of how he got famous, but let's just say there was a lot of people interested that Brett
Yes.
was there.
Yeah.
More so maybe than you.
Yeah, no, 100%, because I've made Brett famous. Follow me on Snapchat, and you'll
Yes.
see why. No, it's Brett did have a fan base that was there, but that was awesome to see, and a big shout out to the Siser team that did come out.
Yeah.
I mean, like Bo came out, Haley came out, Danielle, Madeline, Adam.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see the guys come and support too, so that was really gratifying. But I did get news, and to sort of answer what I've left Pat
Okay,
talking,
thank you.
you should be able to see this in 2020.
Okay, good.
That's where I'll leave it.
Potentially
I'm
within the
not
year,
gonna-
I'll take that.
Yeah, so like in 2020, I have something to hopefully look good,
good.
forward to.
I just have I went on Fiverr. I got a deep fake team that's gonna put my face on your brother. That's all the reason I need it. I need it to come out.
I just need a time frame on that.
Yeah, we're gonna
That's
change
awesome.
the IMDb.
Yeah.
So real quick, and I know we're taking up quite a bit of time, but how hard is that to schedule? Shooting a full feature film along top of work and doing social. I mean, your schedule's got to be packed to the brim.
Well, and it's I mean, there's nothing more heart-wrenching than me having to say no to jobs.
Yeah.
So I've had to a lot.
It's become a love of yours.
Yeah, because obviously the career here, Siser has been number one for me. And again, the brunt of our travel was always at a certain time, mainly in the beginning of the year, like between February to May. And it would just, in the last 2 years, it just seemed like all my offers came through during that time. And it was like, I mean, our travel schedule at that time was like there was no way to work around it.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, Johan's always been very, very supportive of everything I've done because he knows my passion in that, and he knows that it also helps for us.
Yeah.
Like just because of with everything else. And so he always kind of just says if there's a way we can make it work out, like we can. And you know, so I've tried. Some of them just don't end up working out, so I have to say no. But for the most part, it's nonstop. To answer, if I can work it out between travel and have my only like free weekend for that month, it's 14 to 16 hours of filming
I was gonna say,
each
the
day.
shoots are super long.
Well, yeah, because like not to give anything away, because obviously there's a lot of stuff that goes in. It isn't a couple weeks ago. Like you took the weekend. Didn't you film something on the weekend a few weeks ago?
No.
Oh, I thought you had to leave early one day or something because you were shooting something real quick. Maybe it was further back, and I've been locked up in my house too long.
No, unless it was shooting something for Siser.
Maybe.
No, we can't talk about that shoot.
Okay.
Oh no! I was like, what was I in?
We don't talk.
No,
about
we
that
don't
one.
talk about Fight
Talk
Club.
about that one on
Patrick,
the
what did you do? You were having a great time.
How
Great
far are we
podcast,
into this
great
right now?
content.
We're an hour and a half into this. This is
We're
awesome.
good. We're good.
No, this is great. I'm glad.
We
'cause
can
people wanna know.
dial it in, but no, I can imagine that's got to be so taxing.
It
and unless
is.
Scorsese's calling you, you're going to be like,
Oh,
"Dude, I
absolutely.
can't," you know.
And I got to just say, like, I did get an offer though, which is cool for like a Hallmark movie, which is
Totally
totally going
different
the
genre,
opposite route.
great
Where I'm
exposure,
like
though.
super wholesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a Hallmark-esque movie. I don't know if
Yeah.
it'll actually make it on, but apparently the lead actress in the film is been in a ton of Hallmark movies. So
Oh,
like,
good.
people recognize her name. Her name's Ellie Liebert. I've never seen the work because it was
just
never
not your
really-
typical genre
It's
that you're
not my
watching, yeah.
genre, but
Right.
like it's also very refreshing to be like it's something that's family friendly.
Yeah.
You know, everyone can watch
Mom
it.
will like it.
I'm not dying.
Yes.
I'm not
Spoiler alert.
gonna die. That's
Yeah.
good. I read the just the info on it, and it looks like it's gonna be pretty sweet.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it'll be a holiday Christmas themed film, which just hopefully, if everything works out, should be good by December of 2021.
Which I'm trying to get away from you from work, but now my wife watches all Hallmark. Like Hallmark is on all December, so now I have to see you all December too when I'm at home. So thank you, I appreciate
Who's
it.
the director? You allowed to get that up?
Hold on. I don't want to
Making
spoil
more
it.
edits for me.
Yeah,
It's Kent.
Yeah, right. I don't want to completely butcher
Rhymes
it.
with Meven Mielberg.
Joran Jovajetsky. That's awesome.
It's Paul Schneider.
Paul Schneider.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul Schneider. He's direct and another awesome writer involved in it. I mean, we're trying to do the crowdfunded thing, but I believe it's all still a go. But yeah, that's scheduled to shoot in December. I don't think I'm going to be on until January, but apparently 7 days filming, which I know in the industry when
Yeah.
they say 7, it's probably going to be 9 to 10.
Yeah.
You know, so.
We'll
But
keep
I'm just
a note of
looking
that.
forward
We'll
to
put
that
the
for
at least
sure.
put the link in the description too
Oh,
for the
that's really
crowdfunding.
cool.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome to support it.
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
You want to get some segments?
Let's hop into some segments. So we do 3 segments on here. We kind of try them rapid fire, and we do 3. So this or that, which will just pin 2 things up against each other. We do a pro tip, so it's anything that you can bring, you know, to the table as far as helping other people, and then we also do a what's your favorite. Okay, so we'll start with this or that.
All right. This or that.
Yeah.
Drums or guitar?
You can't pick
anticipation's
drums, you
just
can't
killing
pick
me.
drum star either.
Can I say Drumstar?
You can pin them both to each other if you want.
You can play
you
the
can do it
drums
first and
with
second.
guitar.
It's really tough. It depends on the mood. I would say guitar for the day-to-day stuff, like
Yeah.
just
Diversity
sitting
of
around,
it,
because I
yeah.
can just sit around and do that. Like, but there's nothing more fun than playing the drums. Like
Okay,
Yeah.
then I'm taking drums. Then you just said there's nothing more fun.
I mean, when you're in a band,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because there's just like
Yeah.
when you're playing live, like how do you top that? I mean,
Yeah.
any schmohawk can get on a guitar. Like,
Yeah.
no offense to that, but like to learn the coordination and learn the dexterity of playing the drums, where you're using all your appendages, and you have to you're the heartbeat of the whole.
I was gonna say everything is
entire
normally
ensemble.
driven from the drums. So.
Well, I can
mean-
tell you as a former drummer for a band, but post-hardcore, there's not a whole lot that goes into what I do.
Weren't you in a reggaeton band? Weren't you the steel drummer?
No,
The
that's
steel
my
drummer?
Steel
preferred.
drum.
No, easy. First of all, no, I was not, and I told you that in confidence. But that is my preferred genre to sing, is like reggae.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, guitar is just versatile because you can get around people and play a guitar song and
Yeah.
get everyone to sing. You can't get
Yeah.
on a drum kit and start
Hey,
playing
everybody
without,
listen to this.
you know,
Yeah.
without getting people mad.
Yeah.
You know, but I love both of them, and you know, I've been teaching myself banjo too. Banjo's awesome. That's
So-
a fun one.
When you just
that's
you're,
kind
you're
of a
getting into
hard-
piano too right now.
And
too.
I'm teaching
Yeah.
piano.
Piano's
teaching
awesome.
myself.
I've always wanted to learn piano, but
It's-
let's rearrange that segment and let's call it stranded island. So if you were stranded on an island, drums or guitar?
Guitar.
There you go.
Okay.
Got it.
That's his.
I had to get an answer. out of it.
That's his
tough.
Wilson.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll make a drum set
coconuts,
on
man.
the island. I'll find some like logs
Yeah.
and sticks and I'll make a drum set. It's
gonna be
but
hard to
like
make
a
a
guitar.
guitar.
Yeah, that would be.
Couple coconuts, a hollowed out tree, and some monkey skin. You got
That's
a guitar.
it. I got
mean, you
my
got a drum set. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So
no, yeah. So I think all around a guitar is just easy.
yeah,
I would agree.
awesome. All right, next one. Pro tip: creating templates. So this will go even more. I know you do AI and Corel. So pro tip for creating templates: how you create your templates and stuff like that. Because you share a lot of content too, like free cut files and stuff.
Right. Well, I would say as somebody that's learned both Corel and Illustrator on the job over the last 14 years of being in it, I did start with Corel. I am a Illustrator fan, and Chad, you can agree because you're in the large format world too, that being in that world where it's a lot of print and cut, Illustrator is just the way to go to get the colors right and tone into that. But for those that are just starting, my pro tip would be to get into Corel. And I don't condone ever stealing artwork,
Yeah.
but I also say to use other artwork as a form to learn how to draw and
Yeah.
vectorize. Like that was how I learned. Was I found designs or logos that I really liked, and I just kind of the way I described Corel is like paint on steroids. So if you're just used to like Microsoft Paint,
That's a good way to put it.
that's kind of it. It's just got so many more bells and whistles, but don't be intimidated because it's
Yeah.
very user friendly. And just to learn how to vectorize and find out how you can draw shapes, Corel is a fantastic way to do it. So I always just say spend a couple hours a day and just draw things.
Yeah.
Just get the use
Yeah.
of that, and then once you get to that level, then Illustrator is where I'd say you graduate to.
Yeah, I would agree that Illustrator's definitely got more things built inside of it
Yeah.
that if you're at that level, if you've graduated, you can then open that toolbox.
Yep.
But for me, in our customers, savvy or not, I think just Corel is just easier to use
Yeah.
as
Right.
an end user.
Well,
and
and-
it's personal.
And,
Yeah.
and funny thing is like whether you like Corel or AI, I actually have AI's workstation in my Corel. I put
Oh,
that
yeah.
one up, so I have
Yeah.
the kind of the best
Yeah.
of both worlds. Just some of the function. There's a couple of functions that aren't available,
Right.
But I just like the plug-in and the versatility of Corel that you can plug into a Roland and different stuff like that. You don't necessarily have to use third-party software. It'll all kind of encompass itself. But,
Yep.
yeah.
And it's
Well,
come a long way.
Yeah,
oh
it
yeah,
has.
for sure. I remember I was watching a Michael's. I think it was a Michael's class you were doing, and you did the masks with the glow and the rose. And
He's got a-
Magic trick.
look at that. Look at
Been
that.
cooking in my car for a minute.
I
but
mean, yeah.
it's this has been
That's it.
the OG.
It's awesome.
mask
That is.
That's still going. I mean, it's been through the ringer, but yeah, that was a
So,
great class.
It was very, very good. But you had a template on there. Did you just measure out the mask itself and then just kinda draw
I
it?
did. I probably do it the long division way, where it was like laying out this mask on a nice table like this, taking a perfect proportioned shot from above on my phone,
Yeah.
bringing it into Corel. So taking that picture file as a JPEG, bringing it into Corel,
Yeah.
and then finding those measurements or measuring it out in real life, and then just kind of creating that template to be like, okay, I have, 10 inches width-wise, I have 4 inches height-wise. How can I fit this in so that when I sent the Easy Weed Glow to my Final Cutter, it was already to size?
That's something I've never thought of doing. I thought it was very creative, is taking a photo and bringing it in, and you could literally just use like a Bezier tool or a B-spline and just draw around, trace it. And,
Well, and
essentially.
other than that, I saw that one that you did, and then the other one that I saw that I mentioned on another podcast is Matt from TRW doing the Starbucks cups and how to make that template.
Oh, yeah,
to be able to get his image and his stuff around the cup to make it fit perfectly and not have to do any like post cutting. He actually made his template out that way. Where's that mask from?
So these are actually Michael's masks.
Okay.
So these are Bella Canvas masks that are pretty awesome, and I'm breaking the law on this one because these are actually only supposed to be a one-time use. But I washed it.
Well,
I
good thing I
believe you.
brought my ticket book. But you can find this. The only reason I asked that is like like a Sanmar.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
GSG or
Sanmar's
whatever.
got, like-
So a lot of times they have a spec sheet too on there where you can actually, again, it's just ripping their already image there, and then they have the measurements, which makes it a little easier.
But no, the reason I like he did the photo is, we're working with masks and stuff now to where, that's Bella Canvas. It's, there might be ripples and stuff in that to where you don't really take into account of that if you just get the specs from the website. Because what I would do typically is I would just draw it and it would look like crap. It's just like a circle.
It's an actual on the PDF form. It has like the outline.
Oh,
of the
provided
max.
template. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yeah. So then you can just contour that.
No, I
You
thought
can
the
contour-
photo idea was really cool though.
Yeah, and it works for this too because, well, I mean, these masks again, they're one-time use. It's just a piece of cloth essentially, so it's flat. But in those the masks like you mentioned, like Sanmar's got really nice masks where you can fit in like the filters.
Yeah.
But they're obviously sewn, so they have seams.
Right, 100%.
So the dimensions will show you what you have with those seams included.
Yeah.
And obviously for those that, like we know, working with heat transfer vinyl, you have to be a little cautious about pressing around those so that your transfer doesn't fall off. You're getting the even pressure you need in your heat press or home iron. So I always like to still do those measurements myself and make sure I'm working with a good
Your
margin.
working space is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Less than a year, guys. Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
Hey, what did we say earlier? You tap him on the shoulder.
Good
You'll
boys.
get there,
Good
buddy.
boys.
You'll
Good,
get
good
there.
job,
All
buddy.
right.
Good, buddy.
Good job,
Last one. Go for it.
Okay, all right. This is a twofold. So we'll do what's your favorite, and since we kind of hit on two of your favorite things outside of Siser, we'll do it again. So, what is your favorite movie, and what is your favorite album of all time? You've got about 5 minutes. We'll wait, please.
I can't answer that.
Yes, you can.
I just can't.
Well,
I've
I
been
understand what
thinking
you're
about
saying.
that question this entire episode.
Yeah, because Patrick
I was
let loose
literally
the-
on autopilot this. What did I say? I blacked out this entire
Yeah.
time. I've been thinking about this question. I just
Yeah.
can't.
Well, I understand why you can't say that because you have to be in the mindset for what it is that you're going to enjoy. Right.
Exactly.
So
What
how about
genre?
Okay, let's do this. How about I rephrase that? Is let's say what is your favorite? Or not what is your favorite, but let's say
Eastern European bluegrass.
what's the movie you've probably watched the most?
Yeah.
That'll tell us something, right?
Will it?
I don't know. I know you like Gangs of New York. I'm a Gangs of New York guy.
Yeah. Well, anything Scorsese.
Yeah. I will. Full disclosure: The Departed is my favorite film. In case you want to get
Okay.
on
So you are on the Scorsese kick, huh?
I love The Departed.
Okay. Question for you, real fast on that: Casino or Goodfellas?
I gotta go Goodfellas.
All right, you just won.
I passed.
You just won.
My dad was a prominent stuntman on Casino.
For real?
Yeah.
It's a great movie, but people will argue one or the other, and it's Goodfellas.
It's
tell you a story
very
after
easily
we're done here
Goodfellas.
that you'll
Just
like.
the
All right.
just the camera work and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Ray Liotta did a fantastic
she's
job. in
so
that film.
good. Plus, it's true.
Yeah, and I love anything Scorsese. So I will say The Departed, and I'll go one step further, and I'll say DiCaprio is probably my favorite actor.
Okay.
Right? Well, De Niro and DiCaprio are up there.
He's
The D's.
fantastic. He's fantastic.
Not going to do my De Niro impression because it's horrible.
Why? His birthday was the other day.
Right.
Cameras are rolling.
I do.
Cameras.
The De Niro Frankenstein, isn't it? I'm not going to do that. Wow. Wowzers. All right, so let's wrap this up, man.
Dude,
This is
sorry,
fun.
we've been just shooting the shit.
That's good, though. I'm good with that.
hours and 30
I like it. Thanks, man. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, thank you
appreciate
guys.
that.
I appreciate
Yes.
that. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, really quick. I mean, obviously, you don't need it on our platform yet, but plug everything and anything that you want.
Well, yeah. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, just Siser North America, and follow on Facebook, just Siser North America. Follow our support group, which is really where you get a lot of that, like one-on-one. Patrick
Right,
be
right.
in there. All the Siser staff will be hanging out in there. It's just Siser North America support. Obviously, we're on Instagram, just Siser North America. It's really easy to follow
Yeah.
all that, and then of course all the Decor8s.
Yep. So you do decoration zones are coming out Fridays at 7 now, right?
Yes.
Okay,
But
Friday.
if you follow, there's an eclectic group on the YouTube
yeah,
channel.
Yeah, for sure. And then also lives on Tuesday. Or, I'm sorry, Wednesday.
Wednesdays, and be sure to follow up if we do launch new products.
Yeah.
Will be Tuesdays.
I don't know why I thought Tuesday for some reason in my head.
I think the launch is
I've been
Tuesday.
Launches are in Tuesday.
Yeah, I know, but I'm like I've been traveling the last couple of days. My head's all scatterbrained. Anyway, and then also too, if you want to find us, we're on all social media platforms, like I always say, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's the Decor8 Podcast, DECOR, the number 8. You can find us on all listening platforms. Check out iHeartRadio, and very, very, very soon. I kind of saved this to last. Amazon Alexa. So you can
Nice.
tell your Alexa, I want to listen to the Decor8 podcast, and she'll say, I don't know how to spell that. And you can try to figure it out some way. So I appreciate you being here again.
Well, I appreciate you, Joe.
Yeah.
But no, sincerely, thank you
Thank you.
very much for sharing your time and some great content. But I thought you were going to say you might be able to find us somewhere else soon, but that's not the case, huh? Not that the website.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. It's
Okay.
still in the works.
You didn't even tell me about Alexa.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, I kept that one from you.
Surprise!
Yeah.
Surprise! And he's
Hello.
like, I don't even like Alexa. I dated her in high school. Anyway, yeah. So very soon we will actually have our own tab on the website. It'll be between the videos and the blog tab, where you can find all the Decor8 podcast
House everything in one
content.
place,
It houses everything in one place. We just found out that like going to 9 different platforms probably isn't beneficial. We also changed our time to Mondays at noon Eastern time to release our episode visually and audio only. So it'll all be in one place here very, very, very soon. We just got to get the details of that. We're at our bios the other day that Lily wrote for us. Fantastic.
Spot on. Nice.
Spot on. So
Nice.
anyway,
I don't even have a bio.
well, we don't
We
have.
had to
we don't-
ask.
Yeah,
we
wait.
don't.
We had
we
to
don't
ask
have
someone to
bios.
write our
No, I'm just
bios. We said, hey, can you write a bio for me?
Well, we're doing everything we can.
We
we're
weren't
like
asked,
we're two
like-
schlubs that
Yeah,
need,
we were not asked
we
to
need
give
as
bios.
much
We asked
opportunity
somebody to give us
to build this thing.
the opportunity to give
guys. You've already graduated above me.
No way.
Where's
not even
Brad?
close.
We're going places.
Yeah, hey, Brad, you got to can these guys.
Brad.
That's fine.
Anyways, yeah, check us out on all platforms. Again, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
We love everybody.
Yep. Later, guys.
Bye.
You guys.